Kuala Lumpur, Reuters. The Southeast Asian bloc ASEAN and China on Tuesday signed an upgrade to their free trade agreement, which is expected to include sections on digital, green economy, and other new industries. The 11-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations is China's largest trading partner, with bilateral trade totaling $771 billion last year. China is seeking to intensify its engagement with ASEAN, a region with a collective gross domestic product of $3.8 trillion, to counter hefty import tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration on countries around the world. Beijing has been seeking to position itself as a more open economy, despite criticism from other major powers of its expanding export restrictions on rare earths and other critical minerals. The so-called 3.0 version of the free trade agreement with ASEAN was signed into effect at a summit of the bloc's leaders in Malaysia, which Trump attended on Sunday at the start of his trip through Asia. Negotiations on the upgraded ASEAN-China deal began in November 2022 and concluded in May this year, just after Trump's tariff offensive kicked into gear. Their first FTA came into force back in 2010. China has previously said the agreement would pave the way for improved market access in sectors such as agriculture, the digital economy, and pharmaceuticals between China and ASEAN. Both China and ASEAN are part of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the world's largest trading bloc which covers nearly a third of the global population and about 30% of global gross domestic product. Malaysia hosted an RCEP summit in Kuala Lumpur on Monday, the first in 5 years. The bloc is seen by some analysts as a potential buffer against tariffs imposed by the United States, though its provisions are considered weaker than some other regional trade deals due to competing interests among its members. China pitches itself as alternative to U.S. protectionism after signing expanded ASEAN Free Trade Pact Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, AP. China signed an expanded version of a free trade agreement Tuesday with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, with Premier Li Qiang pitching expanded economic ties with Beijing as an alternative to the protectionist policies of U.S. President Donald Trump. Li Qiang told an ASEAN-China summit meeting after the signing that closer cooperation could help overcome global economic uncertainties. He said, "Pursuing confrontation instead of solidarity brings no benefit in the face of economic coercion and bullying in a swipe at the U.S. Unity is strength," he said, citing remarks by President Xi Jinping made during a Southeast Asia visit earlier by Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., whose country has clashed with China over competing claims in the South China Sea, as have other ASEAN nations. Marcos welcomed the expanded trade pact, but stressed that this cooperation cannot exist alongside coercion. Pact could ease already booming regional trade. The signing of the ASEAN-China Free Trade Area 3.0 came on the final day of the annual ASEAN Summit and related meetings and was witnessed by Li Qiang and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who is serving as ASEAN chair this year. It's the third revision of the long-standing agreement, which was first signed in 2002 and came into force in 2010. The free trade area covers a combined market of more than 2 billion people and lowers tariffs on goods and boosting flows of services and investment. Two-way trade has surged from $235.5 billion in 2010 to nearly $1 trillion last year. ASEAN and China are each other's top trading partners. Li stressed mutual reliance between China and ASEAN members Brunei, Cambodia, East Timor, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, calling them good neighbors and good brothers that are close in geography, culture, and sentiment. Unilateralism and protectionism have seriously impacted the global economic and trade order, while external forces are increasing their interference in the region. Many countries have been unreasonably subjected to high tariffs, he said. By relying on each other and coordinating our actions, we can safeguard our legitimate rights and interests. Southeast Asian political analyst Bridget Welsh said the upgraded pact would benefit both sides, especially in the areas of supply chains and sustainability. It also speaks to a global reality that non-US countries are coming together to strengthen trade relationships for their prosperity, as a recoupling with the US is ongoing, she said. ASEAN juggles relationships with China and US. The prospect of a deepening trade conflict between China and the US has risked weakening economic growth worldwide. Trump at the ASEAN summit on Sunday announced new economic details with Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam, though all countries are still subject to new tariffs he has brought in. Anwar stressed at the ASEAN meeting with China that the bloc seeks friendly relations with all countries. The day before, we were with President Donald Trump of the United States of America, and today we are back with China, he said. And that reflects ASEAN centrality. This is what we consider steady engagement that fosters trust that enables us to work through challenges together. There were signs that tensions between the US and China were cooling ahead of a planned meeting between Trump and Xi in South Korea. For watching and for staying connected with us, I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart. Every like, every comment, and every share from you encourages us greatly. If you liked this effort, I request you to please follow and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all very much.